Hello there, my little chicks and cocks, and welcome back to an all too rare slice of your hashtag Good After News, where I'm joined not by the beard of Adam Nicholas, but the shiny beauty that is Andy Murray. Quick shout out to the one person in the comments of the morning news video who was like, "Oh, I love it when Adam and Andy do news videos again. I hope they do that in future." Well, here's all the future you can handle, you little puke. Now, coming up for you today, we have more stories following Backlash and some other WWE frivolity, including an update on Edge's injury and, well, something involving Sheamus that I'll tell you about in a bit.
And I'm going to tell you some brand new details from a court filing regarding WWE's disastrous plane ride home after Crown Jewel 2019 in Saudi Arabia. And on top of that, we're going to reveal the identity of the giant man from Akira Tozawa's gang on last night's Backlash pay-per-view.
Do not fear him, for he was just like us, only giant. Now, coming out of Backlash, as Andy mentioned, Edge apparently sustained a fairly serious injury. Now, of course, that match was not live. It was pre-taped on June the 7th, I want to say, and reports emerged pretty much straight after that Edge was fairly seriously injured. Now, of course, watching the bout, you wouldn't really have known that. He didn't appear to be carrying anything. He certainly didn't look hurt. He left under his own power, and he's been tweeting quite happily in the week since. But according to Big Banter Uncle Dave on Wrestling Observer Radio, he tore his tricep. Now, I've Googled this. It's in your arm somewhere. Sounds quite painful. It's an alleged 8-month recovery time for this, which is just another slice of bad luck for Edge in the midst of this comeback. As we spoke in the morning news earlier on, he had this great pop of the Royal Rumble. We were so excited for him coming back. It was going to lead to the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. And then, as Andy and Adam have dubbed it, the global bastard took hold, and it's just been really, really weird leading to that incredibly decisive match at WrestleMania. And of course, last night's greatest wrestling match ever, which, whilst not being the greatest wrestling match ever, was certainly a lot closer to the greatest wrestling match ever than I think any of us would have thought, which leads you to think they could have gone into something at SummerSlam, possibly built to something at Survivor Series, but this injury puts that kind of in question. I don't really know now what the recovery time is. 8 months, I don't know if that would take us back to WrestleMania, but Andy, this sucks for Edge, doesn't it, again?
Yeah, so he suffered this injury during a retake on this show, which is crazy. I mean, it's just more ammunition for people who don't like the retake, the pre-recorded matches and the retakes. They went back to do a spot. It hasn't been revealed exactly what spots he suffered this on, but apparently it was an RKO. That's the speculation going around anyway. That's the word coming out of the tapings and so forth. So it's a really terrible situation, man, and it's something that people will use against the match. It looks like because he wasn't like visibly struggling and stuff after the match, they've probably gone back, retaped the thing, and then spliced it in later on, and he got hurt obviously after they'd finished all the post-match and stuff. Either way, it's a really sucky situation, and we just hope he isn't on the shelf for the 8 or 9 months that he could potentially be on the shelf. That would really suck. But you know what else sucks? Flying home after Crown Jewel 2019. That really sucked.
I heard that really sucked.
You all remember this, right? You remember the story, the 1st of November, the 31st of October was the show date. Big delay coming home. Wrestlers stuck there. The flight was delayed. There was rumors and innuendo of an argument between Vince McMahon and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia over a revenue dispute, and Vince McMahon cutting the pay-per-view feed early. All kinds of stuff came out of that, and the reporting of that was widely criticised. A lot of skepticism, a lot of, "Dave Meltzer, you are wrong." Well, Shagger Dave is going to have to take a victory lap here, brothers, because what we have is some court filings here. There's a new court case going down, a thing filed against WWE in the Court of New York, the United States District Court of New York to be specific. And we've got statements here made in court by two, I almost called them controversial witnesses, confidential witnesses. We'll refer to the second one as CW2 because that's the important one here. It talks about the flight home. This is kind of mental. CW2 recalls that the wrestlers were told of a delay. They said, "Hey, you're not going to be taking off. There's a mechanical fault." A stewardess then remarked to this wrestler that somebody doesn't want you to leave the country. CW2, it's noted here, by the way, is somebody who worked from WWE between 2012 and April 2020. So we're not going to speculate on who that was. That'd be irresponsible. But hey, that's what comment sections are for. The pilot apparently sounded distressed when he was reading the news, and then a bunch of people came on the flight dressed in black militia attire. This is a quote from the court filing.
What?
Militia attire. They had guns. They were blocking the exits. They were staring the wrestlers down. Other people on the flight...
Whoa. Is this for real?
Yeah, man, this is nuts. This is nuts. So there was kind of like whispers of this when it first happened, but this is a court document. This happened. Other personnel were apparently referring to it as a hostage situation. WWE's Senior Director of Talent Relations, Mark Carano, confirmed to CW2 that Mohammed bin Salman, of course, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and Vince McMahon had indeed gotten into an argument over late payments for Super Showdown 2019, which was the event before that. And the Crown Prince was very mad at Vince for cutting the Crown Jewel feed early on the night. CW2 and a bunch of other personnel were then put on another flight home to Buffalo, New York. When they got there, WWE issued a letter attempting to absolve themselves of all blame, denouncing the, and I quote, laughable conspiracy stories surrounding the situation. Now, the delayed flight led to the SmackDown crew missing SmackDown. NXT wrestlers came up. Great episode of TV. That hardly matters in the grander scheme. Again, this is a confidential witness in a court filing. It's not just something that Tony Macaroni has written up and posted on Reddit and lied or whatever. It's highly unlikely that this isn't entirely truthful. So, confirms a lot of the reporting at the time, adds some new details. Militiamen were on
Militiamen!
This is crazy.
Andy, the shooter wasn't just Akira Tozawa.
It might have been, and his new gang of lads.
This is absolutely insane, this. I remember at the time, as this story was breaking, rumour, counter-rumour, speculation, counter-speculation, Reddit posts, things dismissing the Reddit posts, some stuff on Twitter, some stuff denying it, the wrestlers posting inconsistent stories of what was coming out. It was all over the place, and I remember in the aftermath of it, everybody said, look, it's really exciting to think that Vince McMahon and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had a big old argument and they held the wrestlers hostage, but it's never going to be as exciting as all that, even if it is WWE. There probably was a mechanical fault than something else, and maybe there's a little bit of mischief at play, but it's never as exciting as you think it's going to be. And it's more exciting! Militiamen holding the pilot sounding distressed. And then, it's a conspiracy. Right. I deliberately did not read up on this story because I said to you before we did this video, I want you to hit me with it. I want you to lay it all on me and I want you to give you my honest, true reaction to this. And this is the best story I've ever heard. This is amazing.
It's crazy, right? If you want to read the full section of the filings that are relevant to this, you can check it out. It's on our website right now. But it sounds, like a really scary situation on the day. Fine, obviously, we're quite far removed from it now, and we can go, gee, what the hell was that? But man, this is just nuts. Like, you hear these things, from sources, and something that didn't work in the reporting's favour after this was talk that Seth Rollins, I almost called him Seth Meltzer, had held a rah-rah speech backstage, which was then dismissed, and Dave Meltzer issued a retraction and apologised very publicly and all that stuff. So when you hear stuff like that, you automatically think, well, what about the rest? Maybe Dave's been misinformed, maybe this, maybe that, but it's right here in the court filings. Militias. Just, wow. Anyway.
Well, as is often the case with WWE, the truth is stranger than the fiction, but one of the very strange things that happened in the company. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to say it. The best thing they've done in the last couple of weeks hasn't been a garbage monster from Mars. It hasn't been a thirsty female referee. It hasn't even been the greatest wrestling match of all time, in my opinion. It was Jeff Hardy chucking a cup of, can I say, piv urine all over Sheamus's face. Now, I've seen that. You've seen that. Andy, you've definitely seen that. But if you lived on the west coast of the United States, you might not have seen that, because for reasons unknown to anybody with any common sense, a lot of the West Coast stations decided to cut the feed at that point, so you don't actually see Jeff Hardy splash, rinse Sheamus with a load of PP. For some reason, it just cuts when he's like, "You're having a lot of fun with this, aren't you?" And that's the end of the segment. Which, all right, fair enough. It is a man throwing a load of soilings into another man's face and mouth and nose and eyes, but WWE have been quite happily putting this all over their social media feeds since that happened. So there's obviously no real issue of taste and decency in the company. Nobody's obviously upset by it or regretting that they've done it. It's just that that didn't air in certain parts of America, which is incredibly strange. But I will say, all worth it, by the way, because if you actually listen to that segment really closely, you can hear people in the crowd, one, commenting on how much urine Jeff Hardy has produced, two, how severely dehydrated he looks, and three, the fact that Sheamus keeps looking over the modesty curtain. So anyway, good story.
Yeah, I mean, when he pulled it away, it was like a pint of piss, man. It was
It's
like
a pint of piss. Oh, you can't say piss, can we? I've just tiptoed around that.
Maybe, basically, he ordered himself a pint of curling and threw it in Sheamus's face.
There we go.
It was... this segment was nuts. It kind of makes me think that maybe USA Network, between the time it aired on the East Coast and the West Coast, were like, maybe not. Maybe we don't want urine content on our thing. Or maybe people on the West Coast of the United States just really hate apple juice. Who knows? Whatever, it is what it is. Speaking of things that are what they are, how about Akira Tozawa, who had, and I quote from one of the War Raiders last night, the Viking Raiders, sorry, a ninja makeover. A big part of the kind of unveiling of Akira Tozawa and his gang of fellas in their traditional ninja attire was a massive human being with a sword who came up at the end. Now, on the morning news, when we spoke about this, we speculated that it might have been Jordan Omogbehin, who...
Andy, give yourself some credit. You speculated that.
I speculated that, starting rumours on the internet, because one, he's massive, and two, he's under WWE contract. And, well, it was him. This has been revealed on Lord's Pain. It was Big Jordan, 7'3", former basketball player, absolute unit of a man, the biggest, beefiest boy maybe of all time. He was the guy there. He was all standing, all intimidating, holding the sword. Yeah, there's no word on whether or not he'll have a full-time TV role. He's only been wrestling for, I believe, less than a year, so he probably still has quite a lot of work to do. But, you know, Vince McMahon obviously is going to take one look at the 7'3" guy, who on Instagram, in this picture with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, looks like he's twice their height. Vince is going to look at that dude and go, get him on TV, pal. So, hey, nice little payday for Jordan. Good for him. Suspect we'll be seeing a lot more from him in the future. Hopefully not as a ninja.
Yeah, this all kind of comes down to how canon Akira Tozawa's little ninja squad is, because as you say, it did appear, it was on screen, they've been referred to, they are part of WWE lore now, but whether or not this is just something mad they wanted to have in this match, like the Garbage Monster, or it is a new character direction for Akira Tozawa as a ninja, remains to be seen. But thing is, if you're as big as that guy, I don't think you need a sword to be intimidating.
No.
And likewise, if you've got a sword, I don't think you need to be as big as him. So this feels like it could be two characters. Personally, they could put, I don't know, they could dress Drake Maverick up as well and have him holding a sword. That would work. I don't know. This is one of those things where Vince could very easily see it and think, do you know what? This is the best thing I've ever seen. Let's put him in a stable with Austin Theory and we get it every single week for the next 2 months. Or you never hear of it again. Flip a coin.
Yeah. Weird little development, but hey, we've seen a lot of PC performance center people getting like nice little spots here and there, so hopefully you got a nice little payday. But thank you for joining us today. Yeah, after news is done, you can follow us on Twitter. I haven't done Twitter questions because we're lazy. You can follow us over there anyway at WhatCulture WWE. You can find Adam Cleary at...
You can get me at Adam Cleary, CLERY, and Andy, your good self.
At Andy H. Murray. The H stands for you don't get two in one day, which starts with a H now. Bye!